Let's face it, we're all partial to a scroll, a drag and drop, double click and a bit of research online, especially when it comes to schools and education. We have come a long way since I learnt about dial-up internet at the end of the 90s. So, what are the current dangers facing students online? Ticker Ed starts right now.
Ticker Ed, in association with Enquiry Tracker, empowering schools to manage and grow inquiries and online enrolment.
Hello and welcome back to Ticker Ed, where we will be unpacking all things education from K to 12 right through to university. And while Enquiry Tracker, the Inquiry to Enrolment software solution, is the presenting sponsor of this program, the opinions expressed in the following segment are of course our own. And joining me now is my regular co-host and co-founder of Enquiry Tracker, Greg Campitelli, and today's topic is cyber safety, a very worthwhile thing to talk about because, as we know, everyone's online, all things digital.
Yeah, everything's online. We're in the digital age. Internet's been around a long time now, and it's good, bad and ugly, of course. There's good things. Cyber safety could be called e-safety, online safety. It has a lot of different terms, but ultimately it's about risk and risk mitigation and exposure and being aware of the possible threats that are facing our students, ourselves, our adults, but in particular our students, I think, and how to deal with those. And we have to be aware that children as young as under 5 are on the internet. I know it's scary. So we're not just talking about teenagers as well, we're talking about young children. And a couple of facts, and of course it's different from around the world, but once they're a teenager, that's 13. Most parents don't supervise their children's internet usage. And teenagers tend to hide their browsing history from their parents, often, not always. Children may have email and social media accounts that their parents don't know about.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and children can, as we know, can often be tragically bullied online, and that can have some terrible consequences and terrible effects.
Well, we've certainly covered that on the program before, but tell me a bit more about the types of risks, if you could expand on that, the children are facing.
Absolutely. Well, the Safer Internet Centre in the United Kingdom classifies risks into 4 large groupings.
Okay.
Conduct, where children's behaviour may put them at risk when they're online. Content, which is access to inappropriate content, which you can probably imagine. The contact, interaction with unsuitable persons or inappropriate persons, and probably that commercialism aspect, accessing commercial sites that may not be right for them.
Right, so let's break that down a little bit further for me, Greg. What sort of behaviours or activities, I suppose, are we talking about here when it comes to, you sort of highlighted it?
Well, the big one, Mike, is cyberbullying. You know, that's the big one that often children and students that can be faced on a daily basis. You know, once upon a time we were at school from 8:30 to 3:30, and you could be bullied at that time, which is terrible, of course, but, you know, outside of that you had some respite. Now it can be 24/7. And that's awful. And we've had many documented cases in Australia, around the world, of suicide that has been directly attributed to bullying online, which is just horrendous. Then there's the sexual predators thing, the dark side of the internet, being connected to people that you don't know or could be misplaced trust. And that danger about exposing, when you're online, you know, identity theft, password protection. You know, not a lot of us are knowing how to do that properly. Shopping on sites which might be exposing themselves to charges, or buying apps that they're not even aware of they're going to be charged for in an ongoing way. So, and probably that big one again is that social media piece about we know the good part of social media is about maintaining healthy relationships. The downside, of course, is that bullying, harassment, and so forth. But at Enquiry Tracker, I think it's really important that we understand that you've got to put the family at that centre of the universe, and making sure that you're, as educators, we really have to understand that people are carrying these devices every day. They're not just computers at home. They're in their pockets, and so it's not about access. Access is 24/7. It's about mitigating risk. Probably a perfect opportunity to bring in our guest.
I think so. Perfect time to bring in our guest for today, and Susan McLean from CyberSafety Solutions. Susan is Australia's foremost expert in the area of cyber safety and was a member of Victoria Police for 27 years and was the first Victoria Police officer appointed to a position involving cyber safety. Welcome to the program, Susan. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much for the invite to have a chat.
No worries at all. It sounds like we need your help here. What is CyberSafety Solutions? Just to start, tell us a bit about what you get up to.
Yes, so I established that business in 2007, and it has grown to be the largest and most respected cyber safety consultancy in Australia. And basically I provide education. So my little mantra is educate to prevent. So we want people to obviously get the best out of technology, but being mindful of the risks and dangers and how to minimise them.
Yeah, just on that, Susan, about the dangers that the children are facing. I mean, right from elementary school, primary school, secondary, tertiary, that bookend, those dangers that those kids are being exposed to. If you could just really unpack that for us, we'd be very grateful.
So we'd love educators and parents to be aware that every single time a young person, or an adult for that matter, uses technology, there's a risk associated with it. If you are a young person under 18 and you use technology, there's a potential that you're going to be harmed, you're going to come across contact that is inappropriate, you may be cyberbullied, you might do something silly that could impact your digital reputation. So we know that the main issues confronting young people are the cyberbullying, which, as you mentioned in the intro, is 24/7. By virtue of technology, the bully follows you home into your house and the one place you should be safe. But the biggest growth area, if you like, that we've seen since the onset of COVID, for example, is the explosion in online grooming by pedophiles, and then the associated extortion and blackmail that comes with that often.
It's horrifying. Greg and I have both moved in our chairs as you've said that. But what can parents do, and I suppose teachers and educators do, to help monitor this risk and keep on top of it, do you reckon?
So CyberSafety education should be inbuilt in all curriculums. You already teach children to use the device, different apps and platforms on that device. So it needs to take one more step, and that has to be the safe, respectful and responsible use of technology. But we need parents to be educated so they can become an active participant in their child's online world, because the best two things to protect children online are, one, their own ability to make a good choice, which some have, some don't, and second, the fact that they have an adult in their life that is helping them make that good choice. So they're there with them. They're putting in place rules and boundaries. They're supervising what they do. They're not allowing devices in bedrooms and bathrooms, for example.
That's a really, really good point. I often think, parents are busy cooking in the kitchen, their daughter's on the couch, pleasantly being quiet, well behaved, on the phone, not causing problem. And guess what? She could be being bullied meters from you. And I think that, do you agree with that, Susan? That often we're blissfully ignorant as perhaps teachers, educators and parents, hoping that it's all okay.
Yeah, I think no one wants to think that their child will become a victim of anything, nor, on the flip side, engage in behaviour that is bullying or hurtful to someone else. The grooming one is a huge one, and the sharing of sexual imagery. So these images that children are taking and sharing either between themselves because it's a romantic relationship scenario, or they're being asked for them or groomed by a pedophile. None of these images are being snapped on a mobile phone in the kitchen. If you look at the backgrounds, which sadly I've had to do for many years in the police force, these pictures come from bedrooms and bathrooms. And they are the two places that these devices should not be. And parents can't supervise in them. You can add in the sleep hygiene and the lack of sound sleep when the digital devices, are pinging at all hours of the day and night. It is hard for parents. This is not an easy fix. And I think many of them actually think, well, I use the app and I don't have anything bad stuff happening to me, so it must be fine for my child. But the algorithms are going to pump very different content to your children than to you. And let's face it, once you're over 18, pedophiles aren't interested in you.
Susan, it's incredible to think this stuff's going on daily, but what resources exist for educators and perhaps parents as well to assist with this space?
Yeah, so it is about finding a resource that suits your purpose, and it's very much like driving a car. You need to find something that you like. But in Australia, we have the Office of the E-Safety Commissioner, which is a federal government department that has a website. In the States, I use resources that come from NetSmarts, which they do amazing things in this digital world. In the UK, I tend to go for CEOP, Child Exploitation Online Protection. They've been around a long time. So it's about trying to find what's right for you. My website has factual information on it, www.cybersafetysolutions.com.au.
That's fantastic. Susan, one more from me. In terms of, I was a teacher, and I often think that a lot of teachers are not as advanced in digital space as the students. The students are ahead of the game. They're ahead of the game here, and they're more digitally sophisticated than the teachers. So it's really incumbent upon the teachers, I think, to educate themselves and the schools to support them, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Staff professional learning is vital. When I talk to, and in probably 80% of my work is school-based, the rest is corporate or elite sport. What we need is it's a whole of community approach, essentially. I want to see young people getting similar messages no matter where they are in life. And in a school environment, that means educating the young people themselves. It means educating the parent body and also the teachers. Because yes, the kids are steps ahead when it comes to the use of technology, but they're lacking in cognitive development. And that gap, that gap between what they can do and what they have the capacity to understand, that's where the problems fall. And teachers need to be aware that if they're using tech at school, they have a duty of care to their students. That's a whole other legal issue. So they're required to make sure that when the child is using technology, they are as safe as can possibly be.
And I think understanding the technology is very empowering as well. So I think you've pointed out something really good there. But thank you so much for joining us today, Susan. It's incredible to hear your story, and thanks again for your help.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
And Greg, over to you. As always, wonderful guests, wonderful topics from you. Have you got some top tips for us just to close the program
Yeah,
out?
I do actually, as always, Mike. Parents must take an active role in being aware. And schools, please, must have a clear and well-publicised cyber safety policies and procedure. Publicise them and tell people. And more PD for teachers. Get them on cyber safety. The kids are digital natives. They're far ahead of the adults, so train the teachers.
100%. Greg, thank you as always. A very thought-provoking show today, and of course the team presented by the team over at Enquiry Tracker. And if you'd like to learn more about how your school can make use of this amazing admissions software, please head to enquirytracker.net. And Greg, once again, thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure.
And to all of you out there in television land, I've been your host, Mike Loader. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Stay safe online and be well.